The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, this is Greg Davis. How you doing out there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Somebody say they can hear me. Type, type, type.
I can definitely hear you.
All right, that's awesome. Oh, they can hear me too. That's great. All right, well, good stuff, guys. Hey, welcome. I appreciate you guys hopping on here on a Friday. This is something that I think is extremely important. Like I said in the emails, email as far as like pure volume, as far as traffic to CPA offers, email is definitely the biggest. Like I don't even think it's close. As much traffic that's generated, through Facebook and Google and media buys and stuff like that. I mean, email just does humongous volume, and I know some people that are doing pretty well with email, and I think even if you are a media buyer, such as myself, you should still incorporate email into your funnel because if you're buying a whole bunch of traffic, you need to be generating a list of some kind. And so you need to know what you're doing when it comes to email marketing. And if you do, it could produce lots of money, lots of extra money, in your pocket that you're currently leaving on the table. And one big problem people have with email is getting the email into the inbox, especially now as when Google added the whole promotions tab. A lot of people's open rates really took a big hit, including mine. But the person that we have here, she's an expert in getting around that and helping you actually solve your issues that are preventing you from getting to the inbox so that you can get in the inbox. All right. So she is fresh off of her speaking gig at my event a couple weeks ago, Philly Millionaire. She did an awesome job and, had a lot of people, very interested in and what she was talking about there. So she's going to be, the last webinar she did. I mean, it was really good. I mean, I got a lot of tips from it that really helped me out. And, was very eager and happy to have her back again. So here she is, Gabriella Rapone.
Yes, thank you so much, Greg. So yes, everything you said about email marketing is definitely on point for sure. And it was great speaking at your event. It was great getting a chance to actually get to speak to some of the people from the group and really kind of get a little bit more insight into what some of the issues are with email marketing. Because I've been doing this for a long time. For me, it's like breathing, but I know for a lot of people, there's still a lot of misconceptions about that. So I am definitely eager to kind of show you guys a very, very quick way to basically inbox more emails basically without any tech skills, because I know that that's one of the biggest issues here. So let me just show my screen here, figure out how to do that first and foremost here. How do I do that? Sharing, I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah, we're seeing it. We're seeing it now. We see your
Oh,
screen. We
which
just,
screen do you see? Oh, do you see the GoToWebinar screen?
yeah.
Okay, so I need to switch it then. Perfect. Oh, I need to, I think, switch this. Here we go. I'm working on two screens here. Perfect. Give me 1 second. All right. Let me just change this into presentation mode. Yep. We're gonna, give me 1 second. All right. I'm just swapping out my screens. Okay. So let's just go to slideshow from beginning. And let's switch this. All right, there we go. Okay, so we're going to basically get to it. So basically, the whole thing here is how to inbox emails with no tech skills, because that's a major deal for most people. And I know that that's a big hesitation for a lot of people when they start with email marketing, is they're a little kind of, it can seem a little intimidating, especially if you don't know, if you've never emailed before. So definitely not having any tech skills is definitely a bonus for this. So let's take a look here. And you, Greg, you had mentioned, you made a very good point there when you actually mentioned, about return. And a lot of people say, the money's in the list. And I know we've heard this over and over and over again about the money being in the list. But what does that actually mean, right? Now, if we actually look at email ROI, like for email ROI, typically on average, the average return on investment for email is typically $45 for every $1 spent. Now, this is unlike any other medium out there, right? It's unlike Google can't give you that. Facebook definitely can't give you that. And not even Bing can give you that. The only channel that can actually give you that is email marketing. So, and I know there's always been this big debate, with email marketing about, Facebook is king. And I always have this thing where I'm like, listen, okay, you can't compare either of them. You cannot compare because it's basically like comparing apples to oranges. And what you need to understand is the differences really between the two. And the major differences between the two is the fact that with Facebook, you're always renting that traffic. You don't own it versus email where you own that traffic. So it's much more valuable. So this is why there should not be any big debate, because really what it comes down to is, yes, Facebook is king for sure, absolutely, and I agree with that. But email will always be queen, always. And together, when you have them both together, you have a kingdom. And that's what makes them so great. So it shouldn't be this is better than that. It's no, let's work together to build a kingdom together. So now, who is this basically for, right? Who's this presentation for? I just want to make sure that, right now you're on this webinar because you want to learn how to inbox more, but who is this for, right? Now, I know a lot of people are basically tired of not knowing why you aren't getting the opens and clicks. I know that. I know a lot of people come to me all the time. They're like, Gab, I don't understand why I'm not getting the open rates. I started at 10%. Now I'm at 2%. What's going on, right? And for some people, some of you guys probably are getting kicked off your ESP, right? And I also get a lot of inquiries for that. People always come to me saying, oh, I just got kicked off of MailChimp, or what's going on? And that's big, because anytime there's a downtime in your business, that's costing you money, okay? Money that you do not want to be losing. And a lot of people are also frustrated trying to figure out how to get back into the inbox. And I know this because I've been on plenty of groups. I even have some of my own email groups. And it's always really frustrating trying to figure out why, because there are so many moving parts to email. And some people might just be done with the whole ESP jumping. That's a big thing that people do. It's not something I ever recommend to people. Never do I recommend them to jump from one email service provider to another, right? So you never want to jump from a MailChimp to a Constant Contact to an Infusionsoft. That's never, ever what you want to do, because basically it's a short-term solution to a major long-term problem, okay? So you don't want to be doing that. And this is also for people who have e-commerce businesses, right? So yes, a lot of people have e-commerce businesses, and maybe you've been afraid to kind of jump on or really understand a little bit more about email marketing, because again, it's not your forte, but you need to understand how much money you're actually leaving on that table, right? Remember, for every dollar you spend, there's $45 to make in return. That's a lot of money, okay? This is also for list builders, right? So there's people who all they do is build email lists all day long, right? So this is definitely for you, because again, 100% of your business relies on your ability to inbox. So again, this is definitely for you. So you definitely want to stay tuned. And basically anyone who sends out email marketing messages to promote products or services. So remember, if your business, even if 10% of your revenue comes from email marketing, you definitely want to stop and listen to this. And even if it's not 10%, or even if you've been thinking about, getting that email marketing side of your business going, then definitely you're really gonna, and I really do encourage you guys to stop whatever you're doing and take out a pen and paper and start taking notes, because there is going to be a lot. You've been on my other webinars with Greg, and there's a lot to take in. Now, this for me is a lot like breathing, so it's not much for me, but for some of you guys, I know this might be brand new for you. So I do encourage you guys to take out that pen and paper now. Okay, so let's just kind of dive into it, because I know that we're going to get into the whole point of this is to show you how to inbox emails without any tech skills. And here, basically, I'm going to reveal to you basically 3 secrets over the course of this webinar, okay? So that you can basically inbox email in minutes versus hours and days or weeks, okay? Because every single day that you're not inboxing, you are losing more and more money, okay? So secret number one, basically, we're going to go over the 5 metrics that every single email marketer must know to stay in the inbox. And this is a big one, okay? 5 metrics you have to know. Next, you're going to learn how to acquire better leads without spending more, because I know that's also a big deal for most people, right? You want to know how to basically leverage the traffic you already have without having to spend more. And last, we're going to basically go over how to basically get back into the inbox in minutes versus the days, weeks, and months that you can spend in the spam folder. And there's another note I should really stress, that you don't have to have major decreases in, let's just say, your open rate in order for you to see a decrease in revenue, because that's the biggest deal, right? Most people don't realize they have a spam issue until they go from making $1,000 a day to maybe $50 a day, and by that time it's already too late. So we're going to go over the early warning signs of that. Okay. So I know you're probably asking, well, what about the Gmail tabs, right? I know Greg had even mentioned the Gmail tabs. Well, listen, okay? I'm going to tell you this. I actually love the Gmail tabs. I love it. 100% love the Gmail tabs, okay? And I'm going to tell you a little story here about Google, okay? So 4 years ago when the Gmail tabs came into play, I believe it was July of 2013 if they came. That's right. I think it was in July in 2013 when they enabled it. Now, Google thought they were being smart, right? Because Google is in the display business, right? That's what they are. They're in the ads. They serve ads. That's what they do, right? They are not email marketers. They even said it. We're not email marketers. We created tabs to reduce the level of spam and, basically prompt more sales to their display ad network, because that's what they do, right? So this ended up actually backfiring on them, and it backfired big time on them, because again, they thought that, oh, we're going to put the tabs, right? People are always going to go to their inbox. They're never going to look at the social and promo tabs, which is going to force advertisers basically, right, to buy more display ads. But again, that backfired. And that backfired for the simple reason that people actually liked the tabs. They did. They actually did. So while open rate decreased slightly, and we're talking about a very slight decrease. So let's just say if your open rate was typically, let's just say 22%, you may have gone from an open rate from 22% to 20%, which isn't major. Yes, typically things like that would show you that you had you maybe had an inboxing issue, but such a small rate didn't account for major inboxing issues. What that actually accounted for was the fact that, or at least what the tabs did, was it actually increased user engagement, right? Because now emails were nicely categorized, right? There they were, nicely categorized, so people, when they would actually enter into their inbox, they wouldn't be inundated with, thousands of email messages. Now everything was organized, right? And because of that, people complained less, right? Because now they knew that, okay, if I was getting emails from XYZ store, I know that chances are they're going to be in my promo tab. So they would go there and they would actually engage in the emails a lot more. They would read them longer. They would actually complain less. They wouldn't press spam, and they would actually unsubscribe less, okay? So this actually was a good thing. This was a good thing for users and for email marketers. This was a terrible thing, of course, for Google, because it backfired on them, right? Now, 4 years later, with Google, with Gmail at least, the thing is that while 100% of users were actually using the tabs back when it first started, now only 33% of users only use the tab feature. And if you're still not convinced, right, I want to ask you guys this question. Where is the second place you look at after you view your inbox? Most people will view the promo tab, right? That's usually what ends up happening is everyone will view the promo tab. So again, we've all been conditioned at this point now to view the promo tab. Even if you don't look at the inbox first, you're always going to go to your promo tab because guess what? When you're looking for emails, if you're looking for your favorite email, you know that sometimes it might actually end up in your promo tab. So that's where you go. So this is why I love the Gmail tabs. I absolutely love them because of that fact. So it backfired on Google, and that's a good thing. So, and again, still not convinced. Let's actually take a look at this, okay? This is Gmail hitting their own promo tab, okay? So this is actually funny. I actually found this a couple of days ago, and I just found that quite funny. Because again, sometimes I have debates with people regarding the promo tab, and I tend not to debate about the promo tab because again, if you're concerned about the promo tab, then again, it sort of tells me the level of knowledge you have about email marketing, because promo tab is the least of your problems, because you have to look at the promo tab as you are still inboxing, okay? You might be in the promo tab, but you're still inboxing. So really what you need to focus is on your, is basically just trying to understand the different metrics of whether or not you're actually inboxing or not, okay? So again, if you're not convinced, Gmail's own emails hit the promo tab, okay? All right, so we're just gonna delve into secret number 1, right? And this is the big one. Okay, this is the 5 metrics that every email marketer must have, or at least must know, to stay in the inbox. Okay, so I want to tell you guys a little story. Okay, a couple of years ago, probably about 2 years ago, I had a client come to me and they were really frantic. They come to me, they're like, Gab, I think we're sending too many emails. Our costs are up. We only have a slight increase in revenue. We need some help. What's going on here? So I was like, all right, let me take a look at your stats, right? So they quickly showed me the stats, and here's the actual stats for that program. So while I agree, yes, the costs were actually up. And here you actually see a comparison here. You can actually see April at the top and May at the bottom. Now, I was actually doing a review of this, and this was actually, I reviewed 6 months of it. But I just wanted to show you guys this because this is the one that had the greatest discrepancy, right? And I agreed with him. I was like, absolutely. I said, number 1, yes, you are sending too many emails. Your costs were up and your revenue only slightly increased. And the worst part is yes, while they were sending too much, they also lost over $11,000. They lost $11,000. Now you might be wondering how I got this. Basically, a very simple way that I got this was basically keeping everything the same, right? I didn't increase volume. I didn't do anything. All I did was set the parameters here in May, since they had major losses in May. All I basically did was I didn't change the amount of volume they sent. All I did was increase the open rate. So let's just say if everything stayed the same, and this was from 6% back to 14%, they would have made an additional $11,000. So that's just basically to show you, right, what the high cost of spam truly is, okay? So they lost that projected revenue of $11,000. And again, the decreases weren't huge. They weren't huge decreases, but still enough to constitute an $11,000 loss because of the fact that they were spamming. So they were sending more emails. It was costing them more. They were actually making more if you actually look at the revenue, right? If we actually look at the revenue, and that's where most people, this is where most people have that misconception that, okay, yes, my email is doing well. Well, yes, even though you may have made more money in May, right? So we look here at the bottom, you can see that $50,000 was made. So, right, if you were just looking at the revenue numbers, you would think, oh, everything is okay because I made $50,000 versus $47,000. But in reality, you actually made less, okay? So this is what I want you guys to look at, is that there's a lot of moving parts to it. It's not just revenue you should be looking at. It's everything you have to look at. And we're going to look at those metrics, right? So, and they basically asked me, right? How did you know your emails weren't inboxing? Because that's the number one question I always get as well. And people always ask me, they're like, yeah, but is there one metric I can look at quickly that will tell me if your emails are spamming? In all honesty, I wish there was, but there truly isn't. There really is these 5 metrics that you should be looking at, okay? Now, typically, if I were to pick one metric, okay, and again, I want you to kind of use this with a grain of salt because, again, there's a lot of moving parts. It would be your open rate, right? That would be the first thing that I would always look at. Okay, so in this particular case, yes, the increase in open rate was drastic, right? So this is why I'm comparing April and May here, okay? So in April and May, you can tell here, it's a drastic decrease in open rates. And they didn't even catch it. They didn't catch it. Why? Because of the fact that they were so focused on revenue, right? So this is why when you're looking at email, you have to look at all the different aspects, okay? So that was one easy way. But while I was actually reviewing the 6 months prior, there was a very clear indicator that they were going to have an issue because they had very very low click-through rates, okay? So that's the other indicator too, okay? So while the click-through rates here, as you can tell now in the month of April and May, while they're not low, they were actually much lower in the previous weeks. So that's actually your first indicator. Okay, your first indicator is always going to be a combination of maybe you have a high open rate, maybe you have a decent open rate, we'll say. Maybe your open rate is maybe 20%, but your click-through rate is somewhere within maybe the 1 or 2%. That is extremely low. Okay, so if you have those types of click-through rates, you know that eventually you're going to have a reputation issue because you're not engaging enough, okay? So what you should be aiming for in terms of positive click-through rates is anywhere between 3 and 5% on a full drop, okay? So if you're doing a full drop to a list, right, your average click-through rate should be between that 3 and 5%, depending on your actual niche. And then, of course, if you're segmenting, anywhere starting at about 15% is where you want to be in terms of your click-through rate, okay? So another thing here is also unsubscribes. Unsubscribes is a big, big, big factor to you not being able to inbox, okay? Any spikes in unsubscribes will basically tell the ISPs like Gmails and Yahoos of the world that people do not want your email, right? That's what it tells them, right? At the same time, too, it also tells your email service provider that people don't want to receive your emails, and that can also get you kicked off your ESP. So you need to be very mindful of that, okay? So you want to keep your unsubscribes always below the 3%. Always, always. Spam complaints is another big deal, okay? Spam complaints is when people hit spam, right? So spam complaints, unfortunately, this is the one area that most people get kicked off their ESP for. And unfortunately, it's also one area of email marketing that ESPs have not actually adapted for, okay? So, and what I mean by that is, so Gmail does have a feedback loop, but it hasn't been fully enacted yet. But if you actually look at Yahoo, AOL, and Hotmail as well, they all have different metrics, or at least they all have different thresholds for how many complaints you can have per 1,000 emails sent, okay? Because there are restrictions and limitations to that. Now, back in the day, it used to be 1 complaint per every 1,000 emails sent. Now, of course, that's changed. But unfortunately, most ESPs have not adapted to that. So what they do is they just keep an average because remember, most of the email marketers out there are on shared spaces, okay? So when you're on a shared space, right, which means you have to pretty much share everything, including reputation. So this is why they haven't really upped their threshold because, again, if they allow email marketers, right, with that type of allowance to be like, okay, guys, you can go from having 1 complaint to having 7 complaints per 1,000, then that would really open up the floodgates, right? So they haven't really adapted to that. So the whole point is you want to really keep it under that 0.15% complaint rates, okay? You actually allowed more if you're on a dedicated IP, but that is something that you have to review with your email service provider, okay? And lastly, the metric you should always be looking at is your email list makeup, right? Your email list makeup is what domains actually make up your list. As you can tell here, right, on the left-hand side, this is actually a report that I compiled for my client. This is typically how I always recommend every single client look at their revenue reports, is always by domain breakdown. Because again, right, email is no different than Facebook. It's no different than trying to optimize a display ad. It's a different way of looking at it, but this is your best way of looking at it. It's your most transparent way because it's your best way to be proactive about being able to optimize your email campaigns. Best way to stay on top of it, to make sure you don't spam. So this is what you want to do. So as you can tell here, I already know my email list makeup based on this, right? So here I know it's Yahoo, right? Yahoo makes up about 15%. Gmail is about 13%. AOL is about 16%. And Hotmail too is about 15% as well. So I know my breakdown approximately. Okay, and so that's what you want to basically do, is always know that. So you might be thinking, Gab, listen, my ESP guarantees 99.9% delivery. So of course it inboxes, right? I know, I get that all the time. Now, this is the thing, right? This is where understanding the lingo really, really does matter, right? So here you have delivery, right? Which is very, very different from deliverability. So yes, while your email service provider guaranteed you delivery, right? So again, this is why it's always very important to read and understand the terminology. It does not mean deliverability, okay? So delivery just means whether or not Google accepts your mail, right? Whether or not Yahoo accepts your mail. So yes, getting emails accepted is still definitely a task, right? It's not an easy task, but still, that's very different from deliverability, which is rate of inboxing, okay? Because there is not a single ESP out there that can guarantee 100% inboxing. There isn't. But if you do ever find any, do let me know, because trust me, if we did find one, I don't think any one of us would be on this webinar right now. We would be on a beach somewhere, right? So again, there is no guarantees when it comes to inboxing. Absolutely not. All right, so how you guys doing so far? Are we good are we good so far on some of the 5 metrics that you should be mastering? All right, good. So let's get to secret number 2. All right, so secret number 2 is a big one, I know, for a lot of you guys, right? A lot of you guys are media buyers. A lot of you guys basically want to learn how to acquire better leads, right, without spending more. That's a big issue for a lot of people. So before we get into that, it's important to understand that, of course, source and demographics matter, right? You guys know this, right? We all know that an Apple iPhone user is worth 3 times the amount of an Android user, right? It would be nice if we could all have databases full of iPhone users, but unfortunately, they're only limited, right? So we know that this basically matters, right? Source and demographics always matter. So again, when it comes to optimization, email optimization is exactly like display ads. It's exactly the same. Exactly. So this is the thing is, again, it's all about understanding how to actually optimize, right? Now, again, a lot of people aren't aware that you can optimize email only because, again, there's been a massive lack of knowledge when it comes to email marketing. And again, I've blamed the ESPs of the world for this, because for them, they basically set everyone up, or at least they sold everyone on the idea that, email is one of those things where you just set it and forget it, right? And what happens when you set and forget something? You basically forget it, right? That's what ends up happening. So this is the thing, is that, you need to really understand that, is that there is a lot to understand about email marketing. It's not difficult to understand at all. It isn't difficult like anything else. There's a very small learning curve, but you do need to understand that there is knowledge that you do need to, there is a lot to understand about email marketing so that you can, or at least know how to optimize properly, because it's exactly the same like display ads. Exactly. So let's take a look here at how we can look at basically points of optimization. right? So we're going to go back to the example, to the client example I have here in April. And we're going to look for different ways to optimize, right? Because if you were doing this, right, if you were running a Facebook ad, you would be optimizing your leads, right? If you start running an ad, what's the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start to export and you're going to look at your stats, right? So let's review the stats and let's look at the points where we would actually optimize for email. Because I'm sure you're asking that question is, where do I even start? How do I know how to optimize, right? What am I looking at, right? So let's take a look. There's definitely 3 things you want to take a look at first and foremost when you're looking at your stats, okay? So let's just say these are your stats right now. First thing you want to look at is your open rate, right? So here you can actually see here I have averages, okay? So you want to take a look here at the average because that's going to be your benchmark to start, okay? So you're going to look at your average open rate, you're going to look at your average click-through rate, and then you're going to look at your average delivery and your total revenue, okay? So what I typically look at first and foremost is actually my delivery and total revenue. That's what I look at. So if I'm looking at the top 4 domains here, so let's just say now I want to look for other revenue drivers, right? I now know that my list is primarily made up of Gmail and Yahoo, okay? But again, right, anything can happen, right? A lot of you guys that have email lists, maybe you're not able to inbox Gmail, and that, of course, is going to cause you some issues. That, of course, is going to cost you lost revenue, right? So what do you do in these cases, right? You can't stop everything while you're trying to inbox that. The whole point here is to look and try to leverage other opportunities so you never put all your eggs in one basket, right? You never want to do that, especially when you run a business, the last thing you want to do. So how do I look for my areas of opportunity? Very, very simple, right? So I'm going to look at what else am I delivering, right? What's my third highest domain that I deliver to? And in this particular case, it's Hotmail, right? So we have a Hotmail number 3 here, and then we also have AOL. So I'm going to look at Hotmail and AOL. So let's now look, now that we see that those are the 3rd and 4th biggest revenue drivers, let's actually look at their open rate and click-through rates, right? So Hotmail right now, right, the open rate, right, is actually above average because I'm looking at this average. Anything above or close to that average, I'm going to try to scale. And the same thing here too. The click-through rate is actually pretty steady and above average, right? So this would be my first opportunity to scale, right? Because again, it's not costing me more money. I'm already paying for leads, right? Might as well just up the scale Yahoo and AOL in these 2 cases, as opposed to putting all of my resources in Gmail, right? Because this is the big problem. This is a major issue that a lot of people do, or at least one thing that I see a lot of people doing, which is they want to scale their email marketing, right? What do? They basically just scale their ads, right? That's exactly what you do, right? I mean, Facebook does allow you the ability now to actually to acquire leads based on email domains. Of course, you want to be very mindful of that, very, very mindful, because those leads are actually probably not the best quality. But still, you can still target. And there's other platforms out there that you can specifically target domains that you know are major revenue drivers for you. Okay. So just to let you know that this is the way that you want to do it, not the old way, right? Because again, the old way is most people just turn up their ad spend, right? They pay no attention to what domain. So what ends up happening is if you turn on those ad spend, right? If you scale up the ad and you keep getting Gmail leads, you know, if you're not inboxing in Gmail, all those leads are basically wasted. And remember, right? Leads are like fresh produce, right? They have a very, very short shelf life, right? So they need to be refrigerated or they're going to spoil. So this is the deal, is when you're looking to optimize, right? You always need to make sure you're getting the full picture, right? So going back to this example, which one would I scale, right? I'm going to scale my Hotmail first, my AOL, and then of course my Hotmail parent. Okay. Now you might be wondering what a Hotmail parent is. Hotmail parent domains are things like live.com and all the smaller domains that are associated with Hotmail. Okay. Okay, so the best thing that you want to do here in this case is remember, you want to track your lead sources, right? That's your major deal. right? That's one thing that most email marketers right now do not do. And I know this. I know this for a fact. I have consulted with publicly traded companies that do not track their lead sources. So yes, they're definitely they're running their business a little blindly, but you definitely want to be doing that because again, you need to be able to track those lead sources and also be able to track them by domain so that you can easily scale. Okay, and that's the best way to acquire better leads without spending more. The best thing to do. Okay, so now we're going to get into secret number 3, right? Which is a secret you guys have definitely been waiting for here, which is learning how to get back into the inbox in minutes versus days, weeks, or months. Just give me 1 second, guys. I got a drink. All right. Okay. So I'm sure you guys have seen this image before, right? A lot of you guys have seen this image before. We've all seen the image of the iceberg, right? We all see what most people see here at the top. You see 10% at the top, and then the 90% of what's really going on, none of us ever really see, right? And unfortunately, it's the 90%, right, of the email of what happens at the bottom here that most email marketers fail to see. And it's the biggest reason why most people are afraid to get into email marketing, right? That's one of the biggest things. Again, the number one thing people always tell me is, well, I don't know what I don't know, right? That's the biggest thing I always get whenever I ask people, well, what's your hesitation with email marketing? Well, I don't know what I don't know. So I'm afraid if I start and I fail, then I'm not going to be good at it, right? So this is the whole deal is that, and this is why I also mentioned that most ESPs set you up to fail because, again, they gave you this misconception that email is just set it and forget it, and they failed to educate you on anything, right? We look at Facebook ads. You can find thousands of courses on Facebook ads. You can ask a question about Facebook leads. You can get thousands of people giving you really helpful and insightful information. But you ask a single question about email marketing, and all you get are candid, crappy results that you've been getting for the past 10 years from service providers, basically, right? These are not even email marketers. They are service providers, okay? Very different from being an email marketer. And don't mistake the two of those together. I sometimes ask a question, let's just say you're a do-it-yourselfer and you want to redo your deck in the back, right? So you're like, all right, you're going to go to Home Depot, you're going to buy your lumber at Home Depot, but would you ever, rely on the 19-year-old who's working the lumber yard to actually help you, build your deck? Are you going to go to him for advice? Probably not. So this is the deal is that, remember, service providers just provide you a service. Okay, that's all they do. Okay. So here's basically what you guys mostly see. You see the inbox. So the part that you guys always typically see is the unboxing part. We're going to actually go over here, right? We're going to go over what people mostly don't see. Okay. Because sadly, right, what most people end up don't seeing sometimes they end up crashing into an iceberg, right? It's just like the Titanic, and they end up sinking. And I've seen this time and time again. I've seen it. I've seen it when people, again, they start off really quickly and then they hit that wall, right? They start off with email marketing. They do extremely well. Then they hit a wall and they go from making whatever it is. It could be $1,000 or $5,000 a day to now $0 because they hit a massive wall and they have no idea how to get past it. Right? So that's you basically hitting that iceberg because of something you did not know, right? Because you were not educated, unfortunately. So there are basically 8 ways to inbox more. Not the nicest graphic here on the left, but it's a nice representation here. So you can actually see here the differences. Here you can actually tell at the top here, this is where everyone wants to be, right? This is the part that you see, right? You guys see that inbox, right? But there's a ton of other levels here that you guys do not see, right? So this is what we're basically going to go over. I'm going to reveal to you the 8 ways to inbox more. So, all right. So do make sure that you have your pen and paper for this because this is going to go really quick. So make sure you do take notes for this, okay? because there is a method to this madness. Okay, so you have to start off by understanding that yes, there's 8 levels, and here is level 8. You need to understand that the world is made up of hundreds of domains, hundreds. And the top 4 domains right now are Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, and AOL. Those are the top 4 email domains in North America. Okay? So once you understand that level, let's go to the next level, which is level 7. Okay? Now what you need to understand is each of these domains are protected by one of the 7 defenders. Okay? One of the 7 defenders of email. And the reason is because they filter over 269 billion emails that are sent daily. Okay, we're talking billions daily, billions. Okay, anyone who works in tech or has dealt with servers can probably understand what that is actually like. That is a huge load on an infrastructure. Let's just say Yahoo. That's major. They might give you email for free, but trust me, just to house that infrastructure is a lot. Okay. So they put in place defenders. Okay. And I call these guys the 7 defenders of email, right? And it's them who decide. Okay. It's these 7 defenders that decide if your email marketing messages will spam inbox or, of course, the dreaded black hole. Okay. It's not your ESP. A lot of people think, oh, it's my email service provider, right? It's MailChimps of the world. It's Infusionsoft. It's their responsibility to inbox my emails. And the reality is it's not, right? It's not. It's these 7 defenders of email. That's it. They're actually not 7 here. What you actually see here are the 5 defenders of email. We're going to get into that, right? These are the 7 defenders, the 5 defenders of email. There's 7 in total, but 5 are mostly for North America, okay? So what do these 5 defenders of email do exactly, right? Because they do a lot. And what they're basically doing is they are monitoring you for your reputation, because gone are the days, right? Gone are the good old days back in 2009, right? Or back even when I started in 2006. Most email was mostly content based, right? Email filters weren't as savvy as they are now, right? But of course, technology has changed. More and more people are using emails, so of course, infrastructures have to be updated. Spammers too got a lot more savvy, and trust me, we did. We got super savvy. And not just, granted, I'm not a spammer, I wouldn't consider myself a spammer, but the spammers of the world did get a lot more savvy. Okay. So the next time you notice that your email marketing message are not inboxing, because this does happen, you may notice that your emails inbox in Gmail. Maybe you might notice that they spam in Yahoo. And it's basically these 5 guys. These 5 guys right here that you have to thank. And these are the guys I call the D5 fenders of email, right? So like these cats, right? Cats. Yeah, I find cats are always a good representation. And here what you're actually looking at is the D5 fenders is you're actually looking at the fat cat here right now. That's Cloudmark. He's like super, super lax in terms of filters, right? So remember, you have these different domains, right? Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail, they're all being defended by one of these guys. So Cloudmark usually defends domains like AOL, right? Here you have Microsoft, right? Microsoft here, that feisty cat there with all that money. Now, the reason why I put that there is back in the day, and I mean back in the day when I first started, you could actually buy a return path certification. That would be a certification that would actually allow you to inbox emails, and you could just buy those back in the day, and it was crazy. I mean, that was an amazing heyday. I mean, you could easily make 10 or 15 grand a day on Hotmail. So that's why he's mobbed up there. Then you got your Kittler here. Of course, this is Google, right? So yes, Google has their own email filter, okay? And then, of course, you have Yahoo here. He's the dark defender. Yahoo is another filter that is also very, it's also very, I wouldn't say difficult. It's different. They all have different metrics. So we will say that Yahoo and Gmail are very dependent on engagement, super, super dependent on engagement. Google a lot more on the user side, and Yahoo a lot more on the recipient email side, okay? So this is why acquisition for Yahoo is always very, very, very important, okay? And then you have Brightmail here. Brightmail is one of those like ninjas. He's kind of he's in the background a little bit. And Brightmail actually oversees I don't have my list in front of me right now, but Brightmail typically oversees, if I'm not mistaken, I should know this by heart, but I don't. I'm trying to remember one domain. They typically go over Verizon, right? It's actually not Verizon. Verizon now belongs to Yahoo. So I'll have to get you that name. Right now, I'm coming up with it's not at the tip of my tongue, unfortunately, but I will definitely get back to you in terms of which portals Brightmail actually oversees. But let's actually take a look here at an example, right? Because the whole point is, how are your emails being monitored, right? You send out an email, and this exact same email message, right? If you look at the same email marketing message, you can see here, right? That same one spammed in Yahoo, right? So while it inboxed on all the other domains, right, it didn't inbox, or at least 50% of them did not inbox for Yahoo. And if your email list makeup is primarily made up of Yahoo, right, or if your revenue driver is primarily made up of Yahoo, then that is definitely going to impact your revenue. And it's also going to impact your deliverability, right? Your ability to inbox going forward, right? So I just want you guys to imagine that, all right? So this is why understanding and knowing your email list makeup is critical, because this way you can be proactive about your email. Okay, so now let's go to level 6. Okay, so we're going to go through these quickly. All right, the next level to understand is that you need to know your email list makeup, right? You have to. Again, knowing this is like, if you don't know this, it's like driving a car blindfolded. It truly is. And if anyone, I don't know about anyone. I don't know if anyone here can drive a car blindfolded without crashing into things. I know I definitely couldn't. So an email is just the same. And I always ask this question to most people that I encounter, and I can tell you 98% of people don't know their email list makeup. They don't. Even high volume mailers don't even know. So this is why it's critical to actually understand that, because again, you're able to be proactive about your campaigns, okay? So again, understanding this, right, knowing your email list makeup will give you that ability to quickly identify which sources you're not inboxing, okay? Because in this particular case, right, if you would have noticed, right, so let's just say in this particular case, if I would have noticed in April, my open rate was 14%, and then in May, my open rate went to 6%, I would clearly be able to tell that if I knew my email list makeup, I would know, oh, wait a minute, my biggest delivery, my domain that delivers the most is Yahoo. So maybe Yahoo's having an issue, right? So the first thing I would do is go to my seeds and see if there was an issue. Okay, so this is why it's important to understand that email list makeup, even so that the minute you look at your stats, you can quickly identify where the issue might be. Okay, so I really want you guys, if you don't know your email list makeup, when you get off this webinar, start doing that. Okay, pull your list. If you don't know how to do it, just ask your email service provider how to actually pull your email list breakdown, and they should easily be able to tell you how to do that. Okay, so let's go to level 5. Level 5 is a good one here, okay? So, excuse me, just gonna grab some water here. Okay, so how do the D5 vendors monitor and assess your inbox placements? This is a good question, right? Get asked this all the time. So how are these fat cats overseeing your emails, right? They're overseeing it in 3 different ways. They're looking at the back ends, right? They're looking at the reputation, and they're also looking at the content. Now, each 3, right? The combination of these 3 is actually what determines your ability to inbox, okay? So your back end setup, what that actually, 25% of that, okay? So this is actually broken down into percentages in terms of weight, right? So your back end setup is actually worth 25% of your ability to inbox. Your email reputation, that's being your open, reads, clicks, replies, and your email hygiene are all worth 60%. And of course, then you have your content, right? You have your image paths, you have your HTML, you have also links, right? That all constitutes for 15%. So now that you see that your email reputation is over 60%, right? You're responsible, right? Remember, this is you responsible, not your email service provider. Your email reputation is 60% responsible for your ability in inbox. So the next part is okay, right? Is your level 4, right? What is your email reputation based on? Remember, this is all getting you to the top of the pyramid so you can inbox, okay? So your email reputation, what is it based on? This is big, okay? Email reputation is based on your email engagement rates. Now, I'm sure you've heard of this term email reputation, right? Now, I think I've finally started seeing the ESPs of the world, finally started talking about email reputation. But once again, they don't really fully educate you on what is email reputation, right? Or they give you the basic canned responses of, oh, improve your open rates and get better data, but they don't really tell you how to do any of these things or what you should be looking for, right? So basically what you want to do to improve your email engagement rates is, or at least what that's based on opens, read rate, click-through rate, and replies. My apologies, guys, again, for the typos. You might see a typo from every now and then. This should be click-through rate. And of course, replies, okay? So how do we improve this, right? How do we improve your EER, your email engagement rate? That is what it's called, EER. Very simple, okay? Number one, of course, you want to improve your open rates, right? How do you do that? You have to create short and curiosity-driven subject lines. A lot of you guys in here are media buyers, and you have experience writing very punchy headlines. You guys know how to write a headline. A subject line is no different than a headline. You just have to draw that curiosity. And usually the best subject lines are the ones that leave you thinking with a question mark, like, what if, type of deal. It has to leave you with that question. Next is the read rate. This is something that people have not started to incorporate. And this is one thing that Gmail very heavily looks at, okay? This is why I always say you can always go wrong with long, always, because take a look here at this graph. If you take a look here at this graph, this is a total engagement based on read rate, okay? And this is a report. So, and remember, this is all about engagement. So I want to show you this, that Gmail does not consider anything that has been read and deleted less than 2 seconds as being engaged. If they see that, right? So in your email reports, you might see, I might see all these great opens, but guess what? Do you really know if people are just reading and deleting your emails? Do you know this, right? So this is why you want to keep the emails short, because remember, the point here is to get the click all the time, is get the click, okay? This is not a sales page. It's not a sales page, okay? An email message is no different than a display ad, okay? So I want you guys to be mindful of that, okay? I want you guys to really start to think about this read rate, okay? Are people and this is the only time sometimes when I tell people, well, put yourself in the user's position, right? What do you do sometimes when you're going through your inbox, you open up an email, and the first thing you see is this long paragraph of text? If you're anything like me, first thing I do is I don't even look at it, I just delete it. I don't even want to look at it. For me, it's no good. But of course, this isn't to say that this is bad for everyone, okay? All I'm saying is you can always go wrong with long. There's a lot of people that have been conditioned because of their type of users to read these long emails. So again, I'm not saying never do it, but just be wary and cautious of this, okay? So that's why you always want to keep looking at your click-through rates as well, your open and click-through rates. Next is your click-through rates, right? Your click-through rates is, you always want to make sure to at least have 3 clickable links in there. I know there's a lot of people out there that think, oh, well, I shouldn't have more than 1 link. I don't know who said out there you shouldn't have more than 1 link. It's, again, you have to test all these different things. But I always recommend having at least 3 clickable links in there, okay? And you want to make sure they're always emotionally driven, like empower yourself today. And also a big thing, because I see this a lot, is also make sure that your images are actually clickable. Okay, make sure they're hyperlinked. I see this all the time in emails. Sometimes people will put a logo or people put an image and it's not hyperlinked. And I can tell you that most people, when they see an image, that's what they're going to go click on. Okay, That's what you want to do. Next, you also want to employ the replies. Replies is a big thing. It's the quickest way to get engagement. Okay, it's also a great way to get user-generated content. Okay, so if you want to ask people a question, ask them to hit reply, and boom, you get amazing user-generated content. And last, of course, is the seeding. Right, that's how you improve your EER. Is you have to be proactive about your email marketing. Right, so you have to seed every single email marketing message before you send, and of course, while you're sending. So let's take a look here at email seeds. How do you be proactive about mailing, right? So here's actually a report. This is a return path report. And I actually had seeds with them, right? So while I actually monitor my own seeds, I actually have seeds with them. Which means that this is what I use to actually test my email campaigns. And you can tell here, right, just by looking at this report, right, if I were to just look at the summary report, it would tell me, oh, Gab, look, you're doing great, right? You have 89% inbox, right? But if I actually look more in my details of seeds, right, what do I notice? I notice Gmail here is spamming at 30%, and Yahoo is spamming at 80%, and even worse, it's black hole at 20%, which means 0% of Yahoo is spamming. Okay. So granted, if I know this about my email campaign, am I going to drop this? Absolutely not. Right. So this is why having seeds and being proactive about it is critical to the overall success of your email campaign and being able to inbox. Okay. And this is how you're able to get back into the inbox really quickly. Because remember, once you see this, you'll be able to quickly be able to fix the issue and move on to other areas of your business where you can improve. So this is why you always want to be cautious of those email seeds. So how do you create the actual seeds, right? What are the seeds, right? In the previous example here, these were return path seeds, which this is a service, right? Return path is a service. It's also a third party certification service, which means you can pay them to basically, be the go-between in between you and domains like Yahoo and whatnot, to let them know that, hey, you're a good sender, You're a good sender, so they'll inbox you a little bit more. You're not going to bypass the spam folder. Okay, a lot of people have this misconception that you'll bypass it. You'll never bypass it. Again, gone are those good old days where you could grease good old Microsoft and inbox anything you wanted. But now again, it's all about email reputation. Okay, so how do you build these seeds if you don't want to pay the high cost of return path, right? Because return path can be pretty expensive. So what you're going to do is you're going to recreate your own seeding, okay? And what you're going to do is you want to create 3 for your top domains, okay? So your top domains in North America, we know, are Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, and Hotmail, right? You want to recreate the 3 different types of users. And once again, we're using my cats, right? So here we go. You have 3 different types of users because, again, a lot of emails are based on user engagement. Gmail is, and Yahoo is very, very based on user engagement. Okay, so this is why you have to replicate the type of user. So here you have the 3 different types, right? You got the lurker, they open, but they never click. You got the click happy, he opens and always clicks, he does everything, right? And then you have the uninterested guy, right? He never opens, he never clicks, he's just super uninterested. He doesn't even unsubscribe, he just stays there, right? Because you're going to notice that they inbox very differently, right? Differently every single time. So this is why you want to recreate that. So we're getting to the end here, where we're getting to level 2. We're getting almost to the top. Okay, we're getting to how to actually inbox. Next part, of course, is the hygiene part 1. Hygiene part 1 is critical here. Okay, because before you actually send any email marketing messages, your email reputation, right, is actually being reviewed even before you ever press send, right? And the way it's doing that is via the verification aspect. Okay, so this is why if you send out, let's just say 100 emails and 50 emails of those bounce because they do not exist, Gmail will see that, right? Gmail will see that 50% hard bounce rate, and they will never let you back into their portal ever again. Okay, so this is why verifying your email address to see if they exist is critical. Okay, so that is step 1. Okay, in terms of, all right, you want to start emailing, or even if you're emailing now, this is something you want to incorporate as soon as possible because this will start to help improve your email reputation. Okay, you definitely want to try out maybe Email Oversight. Email Oversight is one of my trusted partners, as well as Xverify, and both of them are really great. I have to admit, though, Email Oversight is a little bit more competitively priced. It's definitely better priced than Xverify, and they'll never steal your data. Neither of them will steal your data. So, and you have to be very mindful of that, because anytime that you put your data into a third party, you run the risk of killing the return on investments. And you do that in a way and the way that happens is that because, hey, third party, can you really trust them not to do anything with your data? So that's what you always have to be very careful, because the minute someone else starts mailing that data, you are going to have you're going to have a harder time trying to inbox. Okay. And this is why anyone has affiliate programs, you have to be very, very mindful. So let's just say if you run an affiliate program and you're also trying to do your own, and you're also mailing on your own, and you might run the risk of actually killing your reputation even without sending an email. Okay. Your affiliates might actually be killing you. And that's a big thing too. Huge, huge problem for a lot of email marketers as well. Okay, so level 2 of hygiene is archiving your emails. This is another big thing, right? Archiving emails is big because, again, it comes down to emails that haven't opened or clicked in over 45 to 60 days. I know a lot of people are like, yeah, but I acquire these leads. I don't want to get rid of them. Well, listen, okay, there's no point of sitting on 100,000 users if you're not able to inbox. Doesn't matter, right? So forget about the number. It's not about the quantity. It's about the quality. Okay. I would rather email 10,000 active, amazing users than 100,000. And that used to be me when I used to do third-party mailing. That's exactly the type of mailer I was. While people were out there churning and burning 10 million emails a day, I would do less than 100,000. That's it. I would drop 100,000 emails. That's it. You make a couple of $1,000s a day and you move on. So really it comes down to being able to just engage and get that quality up. Okay. So now, of course, we get to level 1. And this is also data quality. We already went over this in secret number 2, but data quality is really big because we all understand that source really does matter, right? It really does. Sometimes I get, clients that come from CoRegPass, they have CoRegList, and I'm not gonna lie to you, as much as I love CoReg clients, they are definitely a handful to deal with because that data is being, it's being shared amongst hundreds or even thousands of people, which again, that's what degrades the value of an email address and will be much harder to inbox. It's not impossible. Not to say that CoRegPass don't work. They do. You just need to know how to make them work, how to get that engagement level up. Okay. Okay. And the reason why the source matters is really important that you track this, right? So as you had seen in those other reports, I track all the domains. I also track all the sources because let's just say, right, like anything else, if you're driving traffic on Facebook, right, and you have 5 different sources, it's always good to know which one is actually giving you the problem, because with email, a lot of times you could get a high spam complaint or a high unsubscribe rate. And the last thing you want to do is just stop all traffic, right? Because let's just say if you're getting a good return, right? So let's just say you're getting a decent return, you're covering your cost of acquisition, you're getting the ROI you want from your email marketing program, but then you're starting to get these high complaints and you're getting warning signs from your ESP and from your stats. So in this particular case, you don't want to stop all traffic because right, as a buyer, if you stop traffic and you have to start all over, that's basically almost starting from square one, and you don't want to do that. So it's just better when you're actually doing this to be able to track all your sources so that you can basically stop the source that is causing all the complaints, okay? Because you don't want to stop all traffic, right? That's the whole point. All right, so now we finally get to, and just to kind of recap on your data quality, what you always want to be doing is tracking all your data sources and of course, track by domain, right? Always want to be doing that. So let's get now into the inbox, right? So this is the MIT step 1. So this is the Maverick isolation test that I actually developed years ago. I developed this 10 years ago, guys. when I first started as an account manager at an ESP. That's what I did. I was managing, I think probably over 60 accounts. So, and I would get bonuses based on my mailers' CPM. So the more they mailed, the more money I made, right? So it was always in my best interest to get them to inbox, right? Because these guys were hardcore mailers. They only mailed if they were able to inbox. It wasn't a burn and churn type of deal. So the MIT system I did was I developed this because, again, I needed a simple system for me, and I also needed a simple system for clients that I had to give this to, that I was overseeing. And I eventually also used this for my consulting because, while I never kind of positioned myself as an email consultant, because I was more a femaler. That's what I did. I was a femaler. I managed other people's lists. I built lists. I sent out emails. I didn't really consult, but every now and then I'd get people who came to me because they were trying to inbox emails. So I figured, you know what, let me just kind of create this simple system for you guys instead of having to redo it over and over again. So I redid this system called the MIT system. And this is basically step 1 because it's part of a 3-step program. Okay. Step 1 is your easiest way to get back into the inbox. And this is why, again, I want you to remember not to rely on your email service provider as experts, because this actually came about, or the reason why this is step 1 is because there's only so much that you as a user can control on the back end with your email service provider, okay? So anyone that's ever kind of ran their servers, or if you've ever done email marketing, you understand that, you can, once you actually own your own servers, you can actually set different parameters. But in this particular case, again, I don't want to get technical. In this particular case, the whole point is what aspects of the ESP can you control and oversee? And a lot of that is in the email headers. Okay, so this is why, spying on other people's email marketing campaigns is the easiest thing to do once you actually learn how to read email headers. So I actually was once with an ESP when I was mailing with them. I had noticed that my emails were spamming, and I went through my MIT system, step 1, and I noticed right off the bat that the emails, right, that the IP was actually on Spamhaus. Now, anyone that knows email marketing, Spamhaus is probably the worst place you ever want to be listed as an email marketer. So I had to basically tell them. So here was an ESP, right? You would think that the ESP would know they were listed on Spamhaus because it wasn't my domain. It was their IP range that was totally listed. So I had to notify them that they were listed on Spamhaus, and within 10 minutes, I was back in the inbox, okay? And basically, this is the way I did it. The first thing you want to basically do is you want to go, and this is an example just in Gmail, okay? So again, I'm not going to go too technical because sometimes headers can be a little intimidating for some people, but really, once you master the email headers, it'll become, you'll have a lot more fun basically spying on some of your favorite email marketing campaigns. So let's take a look here at Gmail. Gmail is really simple. When you're actually in your Gmail client, the first thing you're going to do is just go down to the little box there, right, next to the message, and you're just going to click on Show Original, okay? Now, what it's going to do, it's going to pop up, right, and you're going to see this. Now, here you actually have 2 email headers. This is actually the clean email header, right, what you see here, right, because typically you would see the full original one. That's typically what I do. And here you can actually see there's 2 of them. This one here on the right is Amy Porterfield, and this one actually spammed. And here on the left is BioTrust, and this one inboxed. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you exactly what to look for because this is the quickest way to get into the inbox, quickest. And you will notice a lot of sometimes errors. Okay, now here you can actually tell on the left, on the right, and this is the Amy Porterfield one. And I found that again, she's mailing it from Infusionsoft by the way. So there's 3 things you want to look at. All right, SPF record, right? That's your sender framework policy. You want to look at your DKIM, right? These are authentications, okay? So this is what you're looking for in the header is the authentication and if you're blacklisted anywhere, okay? Because that's the easiest way to get out of the inbox first and foremost. So you can tell here the spam record, the SPF record, sorry for Amy Porterfield, was good, but the DKIM, right, is not good. It says it passes, right? But let's compare it here. And then also you have DMARC. By the way, DMARC is not mandatory just yet for Gmail as an authentication feature. It's nice, but it's not mandatory. So even if you don't have it, that's not your reason for spamming. And the other thing too is you also want to look at your IP address, right? You always want to put this into a blacklist and see if it's actually been blacklisted. So let's actually look here at the difference between the DKIM. So here, between the difference between the BioTrust and the Amy Porterfield DKIM, here you can actually tell that the SPF record, right? The SPF record passed, it's all good. And then the DKIM here, it passed with the BioTrust domain name. So this is the thing you need to understand about DKIM, okay? When DKIM signatures are populated, they need to be for your sending domain, right? So whatever sending domain, those text records need to be added for your domain. So unfortunately, Amy, right, Amy Porterfield, she's using Infusionsoft. So, and I can show you here, and this is the issue, is that if 10,000 people, right, are using the Infusionsoft DKIM, and of course, it doesn't take much. You could just be one bad mailer, right, that has crappy reputation, that's killing it for everyone else. So here's a quick way for Amy to just get out of the spam folder. All she needs to do is contact her ESP and basically say, hey guys, listen, okay, what's going on here? Can you give me the text record so I can add it? But I just wanted to show you once again that email service providers are, they're service providers. They're not immune to making mistakes as well. Trust me, even I make mistakes all the time, okay? Make mistakes all the time. But just to say that she's not aware of that. And the email service provider is not going to tell her until she complains and says, hey guys, what's going on here? She'll probably notice in a couple of weeks that her open rates have gone down. She's going to go complain to them. And, Infusionsoft will be like, okay, we'll switch this. Or, oh, we noticed you need to add your text records. By that time, is it too late? It probably might be too late, right? So I want you guys to start looking at your email headers now, right? That's what I want you guys to do is obviously first what I want you to do is break down that email list makeup. Then I want you to create your seeds. I want you to send emails to your own. I want you to create that seed list and send emails to yourself and look at those email headers and just start to break it down. Just get comfortable with that email header. Okay? But of course, obviously, guys, before we continue, I know we've already gone through an hour. I think it's over an hour. I've been talking a long time. Didn't realize that. But I'm hoping, guys, can you agree that have you learned anything so far? Just give me a yes in the text box. Let me see this. Let me see the text box. What's going on here, guys? So guys, if you've learned anything, just say yes. Of course, I can't cover everything in this next hour. There's tons to learn about email marketing, but it's fun. It's super fun, guys. It really, truly is. And of course, I want to get you guys a special offer, right? So basically what it is, and of course, guys, this is a Greg Davis special event only. And of course, I want to give you guys a very special deal for sticking with me for the past hour. And basically what this is the secret inboxing, no tech skills required, right? That's it. And this is basically going to help you understand how email inboxing works, okay? Because that's it, right? Just like when you're building a home, right? If you don't want it to collapse, you have to build a solid foundation. This is really what it does. It gives you that solid foundation, but it also teaches you how to inbox and how to get out, which is the most important thing. So of course you can inbox more emails because that's the point, and in minutes, not days. Minutes, guys. Once you go through my MIT system, I guarantee you will be able to get back into the inbox. Once you master that system, back in minutes. You're not going to have downtimes anymore of days, weeks. You're not going to spend, weeks of emailing to only to find out that you were spamming half the time. You're not going to have any of that downtime. Nothing. You're going to learn exactly how email filters work, which is key, right? You saw the D5 vendors of email, right? That's just the tip of the iceberg. You also need to know how to leverage them, right? And you also want to stop relying on your ESPs, right? I know a lot of people rely on their ESPs to let them know if there's something wrong, right? It's like even if you're paying your ESP $20,000 a month, I guarantee you they're not going to be proactive. Okay, they're always going to try to say that the issue is yours, right? And it truly is. So this is the whole thing is, don't leave your business in someone else's hands. You're going to learn basically a simple process to inbox, which is very, very simple. It truly is simple, guys. And if you want to learn all this in a few short hours, this truly is specifically for you. And here's basically what you're going to get. You're going to get 12 lessons. You're going to get 12 lessons, and the way they're broken down is really, really simple. Okay, you're basically going to learn here, this is 12 lessons. The way lesson 1 is broken down is really simple. You're going to learn how to identify the first signs of spam, right? Then you're going to basically learn how to debunk this ESP myth, okay? There's a lot of ESP myths out there, okay? So you can email with confidence. That's a big thing, right? I know a lot of people lack that confidence just to email. And again, you're going to also avoid the high process spam, okay? I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably thinking they're saying, damn, how much revenue have I lost in the past couple of months because I was spamming, right? So it costs you a lot. Lesson two. Lesson two is a breakdown of deliverability, right? I'm going to easily break down so you can understand what it takes to inbox, okay? We went over the 8 simple ways, the foundation, and you still need that foundation, but we're going to go into a little bit more depth into it. You're also going to learn the sad truths about your ESP, okay? Because again, these guys set you up to fail. Lesson 3 breakdown. You're going to learn the meaning of some of your most commonly used terms, okay? Because I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but anyone that works in the online space, we tend to sometimes interchange names, and especially with email service providers, sometimes they come up with their own names for things that make absolutely no sense. So this is why understanding the terms or really understanding how to speak to email service providers is key, okay? It's critical so that you're all speaking the same language. Module 4 is you're basically going to learn about email filters so you can see how different filters can affect your rate of inboxing. We already saw kind of a little bit. You saw there how one email message got filtered 3 different ways, and actually numerous different ways. And the whole point is to be able to leverage those the ones that you're actually doing well in. So just in case, because again, even the best email marketer will spam from time to time. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. But the point is being able to quickly catch it so that you're not, suffering from weeks of downtime afterwards. Then you're going to basically learn how to modify your email marketing strategy so you can capitalize on email filters that inbox more, right? Just like the same way I showed you with that example there about being able to leverage Hotmail and AOL, right? So lesson 5 breakdown, we're going to take a look at spam complaints and feedback loops, right? How to learn how to easily avoid email reputation issues, right? So you don't suffer long-term goals, long-term damage to your reputation. Oh, sorry guys, I got to take a drink of water here. Okay. Next, you're also going to get my simple tricks to easily avoid high unsubscribe rates, because I know that's big. High unsubscribe rates and high spam complaints. I know that is a big issue for a lot of people, okay? You're also going to, with lesson 6, you're also going to learn how to pull email headers. Email headers, again, once you master this alone, being able to master is going to be so critical, and it's going to be super advantageous for you as an email marketer. And you're also going to learn how to easily read email headers, right? So you can spy on your competition. That's the whole point. The number 7 is all about your email list makeup. We kind of went through it, but I'm also going to show you where to focus your email marketing efforts on a little bit more. You're also going to see how knowing your email list makeup can offer an amazing insight into learning more about your audiences, right? Learn about your audiences, learn what type of creatives to kind of make, learn the different strategies you can come up with to actually get more engagement. Lesson 8 is see exactly how to import seed accounts, right? So you can avoid hitting that spam folder. That's a big thing, again, about being proactive. And you're also going to see exactly how to set up seed accounts, right? I know I always get asked a lot of questions, Gab, how do you set this up and whatnot? I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. You're also going to learn the difference between new versus old seed accounts. This is big too. People don't realize that the age of an account also matters, right? Age accounts also matter. You'll notice sometimes age accounts actually inbox better than new ones, which is strange, but it is true. And you're also going to see how you should avoid the test send feature, okay? This is a big thing that most people do, is you do not want to use that feature, okay? So I'm going to show you exactly how to properly test, because testing too, there's a method to it. Lesson 9 is you're going to also get my toolkit, okay? You're going to get my toolkit so you can easily follow steps needed to inbox, okay? So you're going to be getting that as well. The lessons 10 to 12 is my MIT system, right? That's it. My Maverick Isolation test is a 3-step formula to inboxing, okay? It's going to guide you 100% as to why your emails are not inboxing, okay? And guys, this has worked for over 10 years. I still use it today. It's the exact method I use. It works every single time. It works. And you're going to also learn, again, how to identify the major causes. And once you identify them, how to mitigate them so they do not keep happening over and over and over again. Because that's the point, right? You don't want to keep repeating your mistakes. So you're going to get everything. You're going to get my exact same system, okay? And you're going to get this over 12 lessons. You're going to get my MIT system, and you're also going to learn how to avoid getting kicked off your ESP, so you have no downtime. Now the price is, I normally charge clients $7.97 an hour just to go over, just to teach them. And typically this can take anywhere from about, and this is why I created this course, because it could take me up to about 4 sessions to for a client, for someone to really understand what it takes. Okay. So just to let you know, that's what I typically charge an hour. Okay. So what I want you guys to see here is that, you're also going to be getting a bonus. You're also going to be getting my bonus email templates. My bonus email templates you're going to be getting. You're also going to get my bonus unsubscribe PHP script, which can save you a lot of headaches. Trust me, this will save you from getting kicked off, and also save you, and also give you some nice engagement at the same time. And you're also going to get my full email glossary, which is worth $300. And typically, again, this is a total of $3,994. This is typically what it comes out to. Okay, and again, I want you guys just for a second, just to imagine never having to worry if your emails are hitting the inbox. Imagine never having to worry, right? You don't have to worry about that anymore. Just imagine what it would feel like, right? If you can just focus on making money every single day without having to buy more traffic, right? That's the beauty part, is you're not buying traffic, right, with email anymore. You own that traffic. You already own it, right? And imagine being able to double the value of your business in just months, because that's the power of email marketing, is you have that power to double the value of your business. Okay, because you're now making that back end money, right? That $45 for every dollar spent. Okay, so this is why it can take you months, not years, to easily double the value of your business. Okay, so you can see why this is still a pretty good deal at $3,947. Still not a bad deal, right? Able to do this. And typically this actually goes for $1,997. This is typically what it goes for. But of course, this is a Greg Davis special event, of course, and because you guys are special and you've stuck with me, we are offering this at $997 today. And this, again, the training in itself, you guys have already seen some of my stuff. You know already the value is there. And there's also a guarantee, right? You also have 30 days to review my product, implement the steps given. Okay. I give everyone that 30-day guarantee. Okay. If you're unable to find the root cause, then you can contact me, because I know this works. I've used it for 10 years. I give it to every single client. I even use it on my clients. I know it works. So if you're unable to find the root cause, okay, then contact me, show me what you've done, and I'd be happy to review your steps. Happy to review it. Okay. And if you're still not happy with it, then definitely we can discuss a refund, because I am a firm believer that refunds are not a right. They are a privilege, right? You guys have already gone through the content. You see the value of it. And I want you guys to succeed. Okay. I really do. So I want you guys to go through it. And of course, if you run into any problems, just let me know. That's what I'm here to do, is I'm here to help you guys with that. So again, you do have that guarantee there for you. So you've watched this entire presentation, guys. You can go down here. You can go down. I think Greg actually has a link for you guys as well. So do make sure you use Greg's link for that. And remember, if you want to inbox more emails and you want to know exactly, okay, and you know that there is amazing value in this. You know what the value is in being able to inbox. You know that, okay? So take advantage of this amazing offer right now and this discount, because this discount is not going to last very long. Okay. And the bonuses. Okay. The bonuses too, that PHP script alone. Just if you wanted to get that PHP script alone, that would cost you $500 just to create that script. Okay. Just that alone, it would cost $500. So that alone is already going to save you. Okay. And you can't, there's a can't lose guarantee, guys. Can't lose. All right. Review it 30 days. You don't like it, you're not able to inbox still, you come to me, I can't help you, then you know what? I will give you your refund, not a problem. Okay? That's it, guys. Oh. Did I lose you guys? Are you still there, Greg?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yes.
Well, hey,
Do we have any questions, by the way? I'm sure there's questions.
Yeah, let me check here. Oh, let's see here. Somebody says you are amazing.
Thank you.
Let's see here. What if I am a newbie to email marketing? Do you teach about starting from scratch, getting set up, building a list, and finding offers?
That is a very good question. That is actually a one-time offer that I was actually offering at the event. Granted, that was not a list building course. That was the group coaching that I did that I do have still open for everyone. So that is just a note to everyone that is still interested in basically learning how to email market. Granted, this is not a list building course, so I do recommend that if you do have experience, because you do need some lead gen experience, because we're not going to go over the lead gen side, because that alone is a task in itself. So definitely, we still have some spots available. So that is, I'll actually have that offer coming up soon at the end of this as well. But there is that option available that if you do want to do the group coaching, I am offering that for the next actually 3 weeks. So I'll be offering that. So if you want to get on the bandwagon, actually just send me an email. Send me an email and just say I want in, and we'll send you the details for that. And I'll actually just pop in my email. How do I do that? I should be able to know how to do this. Let me see. Ace Maverick M. But I will have more details coming up, and Greg's going to send you guys an email regarding that.
All right. Next question. Do you recommend ESPs?
Do I recommend ESPs, or which ESPs do I recommend?
I mean, he just asked, do you recommend? But I guess you can answer which ones you do, if you do.
Yeah. So yeah, do I recommend? That's a great question. I always get asked that question a lot, and in all honesty, there's no ESP I recommend. It comes down to what it is that you need in terms of features. So this is why I end up actually using a lot more. I end up actually using some relays a little bit more, but it really comes down to finding an ESP that works for your business. So you have to look for one. So let's just say if support is really big for you, right? So I know a lot of people use MailChimp, but if support is big for you, guess what? MailChimp has no one to speak to, right? So their support is terrible. So would I choose them? No, I would not choose them. So do choose an ESP that has the features you need. And I believe if you go to my Facebook page, I actually have a video based on how to choose the correct ESP. And I actually give you a spreadsheet based on how to choose your ESP. So I'd recommend you actually going to my page, the Gabriella Raponi Facebook page. You should be able to find that video on there. And I'll drop it in the group again so you guys can take a look at it if you want.
All right. Another question here. Do you have two separate accounts or lists for active and reactive campaigns?
That's a good question. So typically when it comes to lists, yes, I do segment. So I do definitely segment, but I really do try to be very mindful of how many different lists you're creating, because quickly, in all honesty, you can quickly become inundated with too many lists. So typically what I end up doing is I will do a lot of, because I don't do any automations. I'm very, very limited on automations. I broadcast everything, but I do incorporate triggers. So typically what I always recommend is I'll always kind of do a qualifying email first, and then I will send trigger campaigns based on that. And then eventually, after the 45 days, I will have just a list where I just have archive data of users that have not opened and clicked, because that's the most important thing, is being able to create a separate list for inactive users.
All right. What was the link for the coaching group again? You just wanted them to email you?
Yeah, for now, email. Just email me now and say I want in. But I will be giving you guys more details. I will post the video in the group by the end of the day to let you guys know, because we still do have some spots available.
What's
So
your
there will be more.
what is your email?
Ace I dropped it in the chat box, but I think it might only be for you and me.
Oh,
I
okay.
dropped the Ace Maverick. Do you see it there in the chat?
Let's see here. Oh yes, yeah. I'm just gonna answer these people's directly since they.
Perfect.
All right. Okay. All right, let's see. Another person asked about which ESPs you recommend. You answered that. Um, Somebody says you have a tremendous voice.
Thank you. I have a voice for radio.
Yeah, actually, you do.
I do.
Let's see here. Let's see. People asked for the replay. Yes, we did record it, and I will be sending out the replay probably either tonight or tomorrow morning. Let's see here. Somebody says you have a very sexy voice. Now.
Um, don't worry, guys. If I ever need to change careers, I know where to go.
All right, here we go. Somebody says, if you use relays, what software do you use to send emails?
That's a good question. I used a couple. You can actually try to use MailWiz. MailWiz we did have to do quite a few customizations, but as far as I know, they've actually updated, and it's actually it's got a little bit more features. So look into MailWiz. Then there was also another one we actually had a custom solution because we needed a lot more customizations, and oh, he's going to kill me for not knowing the name of it right now. Deliverability Agent was the name of it. So yes. So those were the two. MailWiz is the most cost effective. I think it's about like $70 for a license. Deliverability Agent is a lot more expensive.
All right. Somebody's asking, are you using Interspire plus PMTAs?
Yeah, Power MTA. Okay, so no, I don't use Power MTA. So I don't use it only because I use relays. So and this is the beauty right now is relays are only going to get more popular because again, I mean, you're reducing your email costs. And again, you're not housing this massive infrastructure. Power MTA, it's an expensive license. Then you need a coder. It's a lot. So I don't use that anymore. I used to use that back in the day, even Interspire back when I started, but no. So now I just stick to the relays, and I'll stick to using some ESPs, but mostly it's the relays. Relays is really going to be my focus moving forward. So I am actually working on creating a custom user interface that finally will bring my 10 years of email marketing experience and that famous question of which ESP you love. Because again, I don't have one in particular. If I could take 5 of my favorite and put them together, that's what I would do. So this is what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a UI where I'm going to have all my favorite things, and then you can connect it with any relay you want. So now you have zero downtime, and you're able to also decrease your costs. So stick with the relays. That's where I'm going because you have a lot more flexibility on the relay side than you do with an ESP.
All right. So the same person's asking, he's asking if this is only for White Hat, and then he says, "I do mass mailing. Is this relevant?"
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, I started off as a third-party mailer. That's what I started off. That's what I actually might have missed. I didn't really introduce myself, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, so I started off being a list manager, right? So that's what I did. I managed other people's lists. So I mailed a lot. So yes, this is absolutely applicable to you as well.
Awesome. I think that is a lot of the same questions. So I think that's. Oh, here's another one. Let's see. Does MailWiz or Deliverability Agent have automation?
They do actually. They do. The great thing about Deliverability Agent is and the reason why they're more expensive is because they're actually a software company as well. So what you're paying for too is if you need anything developed in terms of some specific feature you need, they will develop it for you. And MailWiz now, as far as I know, yes, they do have more automations that you can do. And at the same time, too, there's a lot of people that do MailWiz customizations. I know we got a couple of them created as well. So yes, you can. You do have the ability to. The ability to automate and also build upon features if you want.
Cool. Do you train agencies and offer a license agreement?
I do. I train corporates. I train agencies as well. I do have quite a bit of agencies right now that I'm working with because I know they are taking on e-commerce businesses are blowing up right now, and a lot of them don't want to focus on emails. So yes, absolutely, I do have training for that.
All right. I think that's it. We'll have to end it there. If you have any other questions, you can email Gab. I'll send everybody her email. And we will be sending this out, like I said, tonight or in the morning at the latest. And also some more information on her coach, the group coach she offers. So thanks a lot for the deal. I appreciate it. I'm sure everybody appreciate it. And I just want to let you guys know, man. I mean, if you're not emailing right now, as some part of your business, you're really missing out. And I know just, it's one thing to have an email list. And even if it's not that big, I mean, like I have a core list of just like, hardcore CPA people. It's like 10,000 people. But I've generated millions from this one list. So, when people aren't getting the email, and my open rates, suddenly going down and my inboxes, I'm not inboxing that well, then it makes a big difference as far as money that I can generate from the list. So, so this, 997 to be able to fix this problem yourself and to really, make sure your mail is delivered to me is bargain of the century. So thanks a lot, Gab. Appreciate you.
Yes, yes, thank you for having me. And yes, you made a great point on that, right? It's $997 compared to what you could be making. That's nothing. So yes, that's definitely a great point that you brought up. So as always, really, really happy to be on here. Thank you so much, Greg, for the opportunity to be able to talk to your audience. And yes, if anyone has any questions, always feel free to ask in the group and I'd be happy to help.
All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot, everybody. Everybody have a good weekend, and I'll be talking to you later.
All right. Thanks. Bye.